I know for everybody in the northern hemisphere who celebrates the holidays has a lot of trouble with health issues. And part of the reason they have health issues is because they eat comfort food because they want to stay warm. Unfortunately, a lot of it's refined carbs, which makes them feel good, but then they feel sick for the next 3 months. I know raw food is something that a lot of people try to do, but they have trouble in the wintertime because it's cold out and they don't want to eat cold food. They all think raw food means cold food. It does not mean necessarily cold food. You can heat raw food up to 120 degrees. Why 120 degrees? Well, in the hottest day of the year, in the hottest place on earth, it never gets over 120 degrees. And if an apple falls off a tree and is baked by the sun at 120 degrees, you can still plant it in the ground and get an apple tree growing out of that, because 120 degrees does not kill the life force in the food. But if you took that apple and baked it in an oven at 350 degrees and then planted it in the ground, nothing would grow. The high heat would have killed the life force in the food. Normal high heat cooking kills enzymes and vitamins that you need for health and life. But anything that's 120 on the outside is still only 115 on the inside and still full of life and vitality. But 120 is definitely not cold. Do you guys have any idea how hot 120 degrees is? When you go into a hot tub and you go, and it takes you a while to settle in, that's 101 degrees, like 101 to 103 at the most. 103 degrees, I'm talking your food being 120. Another thing to help give you an idea of what 120 degrees is, when you get food from a restaurant and they give it to you piping hot and you go, like, hot soup or something like that, and you got to wait for it to cool down. Well, what temperature do you think it gets to where you go, okay, it's finally ready to eat. I can eat it now. It's just the right warmth temperature. Guess what that is? It's about 120 degrees. When they cook stuff in the kitchen, it might be 300, 400 degrees, but when they bring it to you, it might have cooled down to 140, 150, but that's still too hot. You have to wait for it to cool down to 120. So how do you get your food to 120 degrees? Well, obviously we use a dehydrator because you can set it to that. Ovens you can normally not set to 120 degrees, but some people say, well, what if I have the door open and I have it set all the way to low? Sure, you can try that. I mean, especially if the room is cold, it probably will work. Another thing to keep in mind is your dehydrator, even though it's set to 120, it doesn't mean the inside temperature is actually 120. It's usually a lot less. That's why some people have issues making the foods that we tell them to make, because it doesn't turn out the way we have it. So a lot of machines, they're not accurate with their setting. What you need to do is get any kind of thermometer. I suggest a laser thermometer. You aim it at the food, and I bet you if your dehydrator is set to 120 and you're measuring here, right in the middle of that thing, it's probably 104 or something like that. It's not even, and then, so there's the temperature, that's what the inside of the dehydrator is. But then there's also the second temperature, and that is what's the inside of the food. So if the inside of the dehydrator is only 105 degrees, not 120, then the inside of the food is probably like 91 or 86 or something like that. So the outside of the food might be warm, but the inside of the food might still be cold. So don't worry about getting a little warmer than you should. Sometimes we set our dehydrator up to 140, and then we measure it with the laser thing, and it's like 115 or something like that. So take those two things in consideration. But what can you make in the wintertime? We have lots of recipes that you can warm up. You can make soup. Remember the hot tea? You can always make hot tea anytime you feel cold. That'll warm you up inside. Obviously, wear warm clothes. Love each other more with hugs and stuff. There's so many ways to keep warm. Raw food does not mean cold food. Some of it is, but not all of it. So that's not an excuse. I will not accept that as an excuse for not eating raw food in the wintertime. So there you go. So many ways to keep warm in the wintertime. And obviously exercise, tea, soup, warm up your food to 120. Use your thermometers. Okay, well, there you go. Good reasons to stay healthy, and no excuses accepted here for eating warm comfort food that's not good for you. Eat healthy, no matter how cold it is outside. Stay warm inside. I will see you in the next video. Stay healthy. Bye.